don't wanna wake up and let my dreams die. This moment I'll make it mine. Don't tell me I'm wasting time. I'll show you what I'm made of and give my dreams life. I'll put it all on the line, just like I'm young, wild and alive.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Carter Hall, and this is another fun episode of the What Really Happened podcast. Nick Rocha, the co-owner of JuJu's Coffee. How's it going, man?
It's going good, dude. It's nice weather outside. I'm not sweating every time I take a step outside. So
Yeah, it's we were just talking off air about how just awful hot it can be. It just we're hot natured as it is, so just it's awful sometimes, man.
oh yeah. I know, bro. So
And so you're a coffee person, right? So you actually own you got to be a coffee person if you have your own coffee shop. But are you just pounding down cold brews and stuff like that to help keep you cool, or you're with the fall time? Are you more of a hot coffee person now?
bro, I cannot help drink hot coffee. Like I every morning drink a hot cappuccino. And after that, during the summertime, I might do like an iced vanilla latte,
Oh
but
yeah,
mainly just like hot coffee, bro. I will say, like, ever since starting the coffee shop, like I rarely drink as much coffee as I used to. Like a cappuccino in the morning that
oh
I
really?
never really finish, and then maybe something else. But since I kind of have to taste coffee all day long, if I'm not careful, I'm like buzzing, and
Yeah.
it's a
See,
whirlwind. So
sounds like it's definitely got its pros and cons. I mean, if I had my own coffee shop, I can only imagine I'd just be going buzzing 24/7, 365. I don't know how yeah, I don't know how you would get any sleep, to be honest with you, because I would never sleep. Like if I had my own, I would be drinking coffee. I'm like, oh yeah, I could get a shot of espresso right now, or drink an americano, do something, just keep me rolling, But I can just only imagine how y'all are doing it.
oh, dude, yeah. I mean, you think it. You're like, oh yeah, bro, I can go for another shot of espresso, or I want to taste this, or I want to taste that, and then you're like throwing cups and uh making messes everywhere because you're like, oh shoot, I'm like way over caffeinated. My brain is moving a million miles an hour, and I'm trapped in a human body that can only move so fast. So it's a different thing, but it's fun. If it tastes good, it's fun. So
Oh really? So you're just you're just taste testing everything, right? I imagine.
yeah, I mean, tasting your espresso, making sure it stays good throughout the day. We taste our cold brew because so what we do is we make like a cold brew concentrate, and so we have to basically dilute it to the point where it's perfect in terms of like it's not too strong and it's not too weak, and then you're tasting your drip, making sure your lattes are still good. And dude, I mean, it can be scary how much coffee you drink.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
I'm a person who in the morning I have obviously I still live in Amarillo. I didn't address this, but you for the fans listening and watching, you are currently in the DFW Dallas Fort Worth area with JuJu's Coffee, which is I want to say first and foremost, congratulations on doing that because you've done a lot of great things for that company. And I just want to say too, I wake up in the morning and I have I have a bag of roasters coffee still, and they have an espresso blend, which is strong, but that's how I like it. I like my coffee strong and just buzzing all day. So, for the average Joe like me, I want to know because I have a million and one questions, and I'm just trying to see if I can fit them on this podcast. But I just want to ask, what is it the average Joe like myself need to know about making a great cup of coffee?
That's such a good question. I think at the end of the day, right, like coffee can be as crazy or as complicated as you want it to be, or as simple as you want it to be. It's kind of like um wine. It's like
Yeah.
I mean, if you just want to drink wine that's cheap and all this stuff, just to do whatever you can. But if you want, the notes and to know where it's from and taste the difference of everything. So, in terms of your question of what does an average Joe need to know about making a good cup of coffee, I'd say grind it yourself. That's a really big difference. And like for me, fresh ground coffee changes the game. Is from the point that it's ground, it can really only last like a week without tasting different. And that's like honestly really like a few days, but I'll say a week because I know not everyone can drink coffee in that short amount of time. But dude, if you grind your coffee fresh, every time it totally changes the taste. Like just find a cheap grinder. I know Plug Palace, they have some Baratza Encore grinders.
Oh yeah.
And that was where I started, was with a Baratza Encore. It's kind of expensive, but I mean, it's definitely on the cheaper end in terms of grinders. And that will really change your coffee game. I recommended that to my parents, and they said that it's changed their coffee game, is grinding their beans at home. But that really just helps it be fresh, taste good. Also, if you notice that your coffee is just too watery, add some more beans or grind it finer if you are grinding it, or if it's way too bitter or strong to where you have to add a ton of milk, lessen the amount of grounds. Like there's ways to make your palate, right, make your cup of coffee taste good. So it's we can go into it, we can keep going into it, but
I want to hear it all, man. I'm like trying to make mental notes of all of this because like I currently have a coffee machine, but like I'm trying to like go like espresso machine. I want to do it all, like a grinder. I want to do it all. So baby steps though along the way, but I want to know it all. So if any great information you have, send it my way, dude, and send it to everybody listening.
Hey, dude, for sure, man, for sure. I know it's a weird, it's a world. At the end of the day, it's just bean water, right? It's just bean water. But hey,
like
it's if you make it right, it's pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was when I was like for y'all, like when you're like you said you work at JuJu's Coffee. We're about to get into that, but since we're kind of on the topic of grinders and like espresso machines and stuff of that nature, that's when I was like for like when you're at work and you're making great coffee for the people in your area, that's when I was like, what are you like? What kind of like espresso machine are you using?
Yeah, so we use an espresso brand that's called Victoria Arduino. They are like a sister company of Nuevo Simonelli. They're
Yeah.
both just Italian brands. They're on par with brands like Slayer and La Marzocco and kind of these ones that you'll see in most coffee shops in Texas. But I'll say that it's rare. It's more rare to see like a Victoria Arduino. And so that's the guy that we use. It's pretty cool. It fits our space really well. If you check out like our Instagram or our social medias, you'll kind of see some snippets of our espresso machine. It's bright orange. But what's really cool about it, it's a 2010. And whenever they released it, they wanted it to be like this new cutting edge look, but really it just looks really retro. So not only does it make the coffee taste good, but it looks really cool too. So
That's pretty dope, man. Because I go follow first of all go follow JuJu's Coffee on social media everywhere because I follow y'all and y'all are just like it's pretty cool. Like it's not just like it's so uniquely different if I can use that right the right way because y'all are like so like y'all still have like y'all's aesthetic if I can use that word too is like so cool and different and like because like y'all get to see like the behind the scenes if that makes sense like of y'all making coffee and it's so cool like I nerd out watching all that stuff all the time too. I'm like, that's so cool. Like that's the content I want to see, but I don't want to see someone like handing someone a cup of coffee. I mean, that's cool, but like I want to see someone like the stuff that I'm drinking. That and I thought that's pretty neat too. So kudos to y'all just for doing that. So that's pretty cool that y'all do that too. But so for just like making coffee, like you said, that's a pretty cool like something that's made in 2010, making it look, retro. That's pretty neat too, hearing that as well.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. For real. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I was gonna ask too, like, how would you describe like you kind of talked about the grinder and like how like you can add more water or do this, like, but how like for like an espresso machine, how would you describe that process of making like the perfect or maybe the right like espresso out of espresso?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm gonna go back to as far as espresso goes. So this being different from, say, your normal coffee dripper, like a Mr. Coffee, um, a Ninja, whatever, right? An
Mhm.
espresso machine is totally different. So you're now grinding your coffee a lot finer, and that's why I think it's better if you're using an espresso machine to grind it yourself, because every espresso machine is different. Like if you're to go to a coffee shop and you say, grind this espresso for me, or grind this for an espresso machine, there's no telling whether or not it's going to be good for your espresso machine. And that might be why you're getting bad coffee. If you do have an espresso machine, and you're asking for freshly ground espresso grinds, find a grinder that is affordable and that is meant, that's it's just more personal if it's yours, and you're grinding it fresh yourself, and then you can adjust it, right? More fine, less fine, all that good stuff. And then also in terms of espresso, what'll change the game for the at-home coffee drinker, getting a scale, um, making sure that you know how many grams or ounces or whatever you use, is going into your espresso machine. Um, I personally stick around 18 grams, 19 grams, 19.5. Um, but you never know if you just throw grounds in your little portafilter. Um, you could be getting 30 grams or 10 grams, and it'll just all change it all. And also YouTube, watch YouTube videos. Watch
Yeah.
YouTube videos. That's like literally, I watched so many YouTube videos, and if you went through all of my YouTuber history, it's just like all how to do latte art, how to make perfect espresso, how to do this, how to do that. And
Yeah.
there's people that have devoted their lives to make coffee more accessible at home. So check out those. And if you're doing espresso at home, just get that grinder. You could have the what we have over here, like an expensive espresso machine. But if you have a bad grinder, it will not make good espresso. So you could have the worst espresso machine, the cheapest, with a good grinder, and I bet you could pull some good espresso from it. So yeah.
Oh, sweet. So when they're pulling like a good, like you said, you measured weight and anything like that, but I'm not sure if you may have said it. I'm sorry. I just probably just hear a lot of great things, but whenever if like someone's making like a great sort of espresso, like you pull it, whatever you got it. What should it be tasting like? Out of curiosity, I just want to know like what it should be like. What like is there a certain taste that like comes with a great sort of like taste of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. If espresso's too strong, like for you and your palate, and you're always going to do milk in it, add a little water, and that'll help you dial in just a little bit of water. So that way you're not drinking it straight. But what should you be tasting? That's the question. Um, I would ask whoever you're buying your beans from, unless it's at the grocery store, you can't just ask the cashier. But um,
Yeah.
if it doesn't say on the bag the notes that you should be getting, so say it's like dark chocolate, um, caramel, right? Those are some simple ones, dark chocolate, caramel. And you drink it and you close your eyes and it's tasting like a lemon, then something's off, right? Or if it's tasting like a just straight up dirt, then something's off. So um, if you go online, I'm just going to refer people to online. If you go online, there's going to be like little graphs, and it's like, okay, you're tasting, it's too sour. All right, let's fine it up, or let's coarsen your grind. So it all reverts back to getting your own coffee grinder at home. But for us, our espresso, this is what our espresso tastes like. We're currently roasting our own beans, and we're blending a Colombia and a Costa Rica. And it should taste like dark chocolate. But it has like a English breakfast black tea finish. So that tastes really good in milk. Like it tastes really good as a cappuccino, but it also holds up in your lattes and it tastes good on its own, right? Um, so that's what ours tastes like. I know um, some places, you know, they like a more strawberry or a more whatever. All at the end of the day, look at your bag of beans that you're buying and know what you should be tasting. And because coffee shouldn't just taste like coffee, right? That's not like a taste. It is if you're doing like desserts and things like that. But if you're really wanting quality espresso, go past it tastes like coffee. Try to expand yourself, expand your palate. Oh, actually, I'm not just tasting coffee. That finished like a blueberry muffin. It's weird that I said that, but like, whoa, okay. Like I'm expanding my palate, my horizons to just bean water to now a blueberry muffin. So it can be fun. But every espresso is going to taste different, but I should say it should be able to hold up well in milk and be drinkable on its own as well.
Man, that's like a lot of great information too. So that's pretty like awesome that you're doing like you're grinding your own beans, or you're doing this and that, like you're creating a lot of great things, and that's pretty cool. Like a lot of information just went into my head just then too. So it's pretty cool hearing that too. So, because I'm a big I like creamer in my coffee and like sweet and low and all that stuff, all that fun jazz, you know. But so I'm definitely one of those person like I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I'm not trying to overdo it because I don't like I'm the one that doesn't want to take too much away from the actual coffee flavor. That makes sense, you know. Like I want
Right.
to even balance, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, and so does everyone at home. They just want something that they can drink, tastes good, you know, they can drink about their day, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was going to ask too. Like, we were talking about like just the great things you're doing with coffee and things of that nature. But I want to ask too about like kind of like the origins of JuJu's coffee. I just want to ask too. Like, I was kind of wondering this too. Like, what was your process like of starting your own coffee like business or industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it all reverts back to COVID, the time of
Mhm.
COVID. I was attending the University of North Texas in Denton, which is on the outskirts of Dallas. And
Mhm.
I was just a marketing major and never really went to class. But hey, I drank a lot of coffee, which was really cool. And in 2020, I went home for spring break and didn't go back to Denton for about a year. It was like the world shut down in that one spring break week
Oh
for
yeah.
us. And like, um, it was like nobody really knew how long it would last. Everybody was getting let go of their jobs, including me. Um, and it was just such a weird time. Classes went to now online. And so we lived in Amarillo for probably about a year or so. And how it came to pass is this was March time, right? COVID
Mm.
2020 started around March in the United States, I'd say.
Yeah.
And dude, I remember hanging out with Julia's family one night, and our family is full of entrepreneurs. My mom, my dad, her mom, her dad, and so they always. I feel like my parents really just believe in us, and I think that that is something that is unreal. They aren't too realistic to the point where it's like, well, maybe not, you know, maybe not. But they were always like, you could do this.
Mm.
And so I remember Julia came up to me one day and was like, "Hey, there's an Airstream for sale, which is a retro
Okay.
trailer. Wouldn't it be cool to serve food out of this?" And she just started dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. And I was like, that would be so dope, but coffee. And she's
Oh
just like,
yeah.
that would be so cool. And we're dreaming, dreaming, dreaming for about a week or so about this coffee trailer that we would make. And she was like, well, you know, it's just an idea, right? It's not real.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what if it is? And for us, faith is a really big deal. Our Christian faith, and we just started praying about it, and
Most definitely.
we are like, you know what? All right, we're gonna give it 3 weeks. Lord, we are gonna say on May 24th, 2020, that we will know whether or not we're doing coffee. And so you will tell us, Lord. That's basically what we were saying. We were like, you will give us an answer in some way or another. And well, we ended up kind of forgetting about that, and kind of forgot that we were in this 3 week, 21-day period of waiting. And dude, we're driving home with a $3,000 1962 Airstream on May 24th.
Wow.
On May 24th. And it wasn't like we didn't plan it. We had totally forgotten that we had even like done this thing, because we were still in school. So we were still doing school stuff, I think, and job stuff, helping family, spending time with family. And dude, we were driving home with this trailer on May 24th. So anyways, that was kind of confirmation that it's like, oh, okay, like, this is legit. And this is not just us and our dreams, but it's also a dream that really God put in our heart. And so, dude, from that point on, it was just a renovation project for about a year and a half. So imagine not making really any money for like a year and a half. And I did work for my dad, praise God, and she did work for her parents too. And so that was fun. But there was a period of time where I drove from Dallas to Amarillo every weekend just to work on this trailer. And so we didn't have our first event until Mother's Day of 2022 in Dallas. So yeah, man, it went from also name changes, the coffee camper, the coffee retro camper, all this stuff, to JuJu's Coffee, which is my wife's nickname. So really cool.
Wow. Man, I don't know if you saw me, but I went I had to get wave the goosebumps off, because that was such a cool story to hear all of that. Because it's crazy how God works in great ways sometimes. It's like I'm a big believer in that, because I'm a Chris the faith and anything like that. So sometimes it's God comes in, sometimes it does amazing things for us when the time's right, and sometimes He will just come in drop something when you're not really expecting it. And it feels like that story there is just proof that y'all were meant to do this, and y'all have been making a big impact, not just on coffee, but on people too, because people have been obviously selling that man, y'all's coffee is great too, but the community aspect too of it too is reflects that your passion of it too, if that makes any sense.
Dude, thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's a big priority for us, is that um it wouldn't just be a way to make money, right? Obviously, we do need to live, but it wouldn't just be a way to make money, but that it would be a way to reach an audience and directly impact them in a positive way. That if anybody walks into this space, which I'm currently in our shop, if anybody walks into this space, that they would leave feeling refreshed, like they were able to forget about maybe what they had going on that day, or that they were inspired a little bit about something. So it's very important. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that an amazing story you just said, that you talked about y'all got an Airstream and started selling coffee out of that. That was the original origins of it. Y'all started from there and started doing make many great things with it. That's when I was too I saw on social media not long ago, maybe y'all got your own place, place. You just mentioned a shop. I was when did all that happen? How did that happen, and when did it happen?
Yeah, so that's another great question. Dude, honestly, I couldn't have done a lot of what is going on here without the support of our family. I just want to say that my mom, my dad, and their support in so many different ways, and her mom and her dad, and just the impact that they made on us. But in terms of your question of how did we get here? Crazy, but it's another God story. And
Man,
I
I
was,
wanna hear
yeah, I was I was cold calling a bunch of places to see if we could pop up the Airstream. And while I was doing that, I was also delivering Amazon packages. And then I was also being a barista at another place. And well, I stopped doing Amazon and I went full in on this barista job because JuJu's just wasn't really paying any bills at the time. And dude, so I was making pretty good money as a barista at this roastery, man. I was like literally making like, which this is probably not a lot to a lot of people, but I was like averaging like $22 an hour as a barista,
That's pretty
which
good.
for me is a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm literally serving coffee and I'm making good money. And
Yeah.
well, I did that for about 6 months. And then out of the blue, I felt like the Lord had told me to put in my 2 weeks. And, um, I went to Julia and I was like, hey, I think that the Lord told me this. And she's like, well, let's pray about it for the rest of the day and tomorrow. And Julia and I will tell you, we've never heard the 2 words 2 weeks more in our entire life. Just after I told her that, like Instagram, the radio, which we don't even listen to, TV, people on the street, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So, bro, the next day I put in my 2 weeks for this well paying job. And now we're fully relying on Julia's pay, which was not ideal. But it was for me to do JuJu's full time, right? And bro, so at church, this girl comes up to me and she's totally not a part of the situation, doesn't know anything that's going on, but she's like, hey, I feel like somebody's going to offer you a space and you
Oh,
need to
wow.
take it. And I was like, this sounds way too good to be true. Probably not true, all this stuff. And I was like, but thank you. And bro, about a month later, the owners of a company called the Coffee Company, they were the first coffee
Wow.
shop in Texas, called me and they're like, hey, you're the only one that knows about this, but we've been open since 1971 and we want to retire. And would you be willing to take over our lease? And
Wow,
so
dude.
we legit got offered a space. And not only that, but he had already told me the price, but I come and I tour the space and I'm like, well, how much are you asking? But he had already told me it before,
Yeah.
but in person, how much are you asking? And he's like, this amount. But I'll tell you what, man, I'll do half price.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, okay. So obviously we're meant to be here. And it's funny. It's a tiny little shop, but like it's just been such a blessing, dude. So that's kind of the story of how we went from Airstream only to now having a shop. It did take us from November 2022 to May 2023, Mother's Day ish. I don't know, May 2023 to open up here. So yeah, man, it's crazy. We had our first event Mother's Day 2022 in the Airstream, and we basically opened Mother's Day the next year. So it's pretty cool.
And that's an
So
interesting story, man. That's bro. I mean, that's just a cool story. Another cool story hearing that, bro. I mean, just like you said, just walking into a place like they calling you like hearing like 2 weeks, and putting your 2 weeks in and getting like to a place where like, yeah, we'll offer you this place half price, and just so interesting to get from like one place to another. It's like this. It really sounds like everything was or is meant to be. So I mean, it's definitely doing the right thing for sure. I mean, it just sounds like, bro. I mean, it's I could tell just like be on the outside looking in. It just looks like it's so interesting to see everything too, because you can tell everything is just meant to be.
dude, thank you for that, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank you.
sure. So I was gonna ask you like a couple more questions and we'll head out because I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. But
Oh,
um,
dude, I'm free, bro. So take your time.
oh, you're good, cool, man. But I was gonna ask you like what makes JuJu's different about like than anybody else?
So I'd say what makes JuJu's different than anybody else, and it's funny. This is like I don't know why, but I struggle with this question a lot. What makes JuJu's different is that like it's Julia and I's. It's like our passion. and it's what we're doing together. And if you ever come by the shop, like it's literally us behind bar.
Yeah.
Everything that you see maybe on social media or that you hear about, like as far as Julia and all this stuff, like we're literally here serving your coffee. And not only that, but we're roasting everything in the same space and serving those same beans. So we'll roast here on Monday, and then on Wednesday those beans that we just roasted are now on our bar and we're serving them. And so I'd say that that's what makes us different. But I mean, if you ever come to Dallas, coffee can be a little bit too cool for school, it seems, at sometimes, where it's like,
Oh, really?
oh, what you want, and all this stuff. And Julie and I are like, okay, we definitely want to be sure that we are having intentional conversations with these people. So if you ever do come in, like, we're going to talk with you. It's not just going to be what you want and here you go, but it's going to be like, I mean, we're engaging in a conversation with you. And that's one of our big things, is that we maintain relationships with our customers, and we don't just take your money, like, because that's just boring for us. We're literally human, and we also desire human connection. And so if you ever come in, man, we're gonna talk with you and we're gonna say what's up, because I mean, you deserve that, and we do too. I mean, we're working, and we want to talk with you. And so, I mean, we are truly like friendly and we have fun. Coffee shouldn't be like too serious. Like, it should be fun. It's just bean water, but like
It is.
like we should make it like fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes a huge difference too from everybody else, because I could easily just walk into Starbucks. Okay, I want coffee, boom, creamer. I'm out the door. Just another number, but another number to them, another money, more money to their wallet, right? But it's a like you said, it's that interaction. Like me walking into JuJu's, I'm like, hey, Nick, I want, how's it going? It's just from there, it just feels like it's natural. It's natural possess, and that's something I think that's really stands out. I mean, I've never seen your shop yet in person. I'd love to one day if I'm in the Dallas area, but if ever like I have the opportunity, but like it's just like, man, that's you right though. It's like people want that natural, like, oh yeah, like hey, how's it going, man? Like that naturalness, of that naturalness. That's not a word. That communicate interpersonal, that personal connection, if that makes sense. I think
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I think that's what really sets it all apart.
dude, thank you, man. And like, especially after COVID, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, COVID, and we can all tell, like, people don't like to talk as much as they used to. People really like their personal space. But also, I mean, to go hand in hand with that, people are loving their personal space, but people are more, and this is going a little deep, but more anxious than ever. They're more lonely
Yeah.
than ever. They're more depressed than ever. They're more all these things than ever. And I truly believe it's because they just don't talk to people. Like,
Yeah.
nobody talks anymore, and nobody
Yeah,
makes
for
eye
sure.
contact anymore. Like, eye contact is such a big deal, because it makes you feel seen. Like, you're a legit person. Like, I'm a legit person
Yeah.
too. Like, and we all deserve 10 seconds of like a yo, like, how are you doing? Like, but actually meaning it. Like,
Sure.
what are you up to today? You have anything going on this weekend? Or and it can be as surface level as customers want or as you want, or it can be, we can talk here for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
so I think we've lost a little bit of that human connection ever since COVID happened. So
Yeah. It's all true, man. I mean, I think that's one thing too, is like, man, just having that connection and going to be able to talk to somebody like, hey, just going to a coffee shop just and hanging out. Like that's one thing that's like just fun. It's like, hey, or not even coffee shop, just anything. Just like, hey, calling somebody, texting somebody like, hey, let's go do this. Instead of just like being like having your blinders on permanently, like just you're in your own lane. It's like, man, just let's hang out, let's do something. That's not all doing a 24/7 is not all super great for you, but just it's like, hey, let's hang out. Let's go grab a cup of coffee. Let's go do this, go do that. It's that's what I love about coffee. It's just not just like oh, I want to feel good this morning or whatever because my cup of coffee, but it's like, hey, I'm having a cup of coffee with my friend or whomever, you know.
Exactly. I so agree with you. I so agree.
Yeah, man. So speaking about drinking coffee, um, I don't know. This may be a hard question. I'm not sure you. But I was gonna ask, like, what is your like? Do you have a favorite like? Do you have a favorite like drink at JuJu's?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the spiel. Okay. We are always gonna have these two drinks on our menu year round. They're called our signatures, right? So they're never leaving. We'll obviously have seasonal drinks as well, and we'll never have too many to where you can't decide. Like, I think we're rocking 3 seasonals right now, and I don't think we'll ever have any more than that on our menu in terms of seasonal drinks. But um, okay, we have two specialty drinks, and one is called the Otis oat
Oh yeah,
milk latte with brown sugar and vanilla, and
that
it's
sounds
so
good.
good. But
Sounds good.
my favorite of our signatures is it's called the Neapolitan, and it sounds so weird. I tell everyone that tries it, I'm like, it sounds weird, but you got to trust me. It's so good. It's white chocolate and strawberry, and it's a latte,
Oh really?
and it will literally it will rock your world. It's
Oh
so
man, that
good.
sounds really good, man. Next time if I'm over there, when I come by eventually one day, I want to try that for sure.
Yes, bro. Strawberry and coffee, man. It sounds weird, but you got to try it. You got to try it.
Yeah, I gotta try it someday, man. Couple more questions, a couple more fun questions, you know, kind of to wrap this thing up. But so I was like, are you I already asked you this question, but cause I was like, are you an iced or coffee drinker most of the time? Like every day when you like,
Okay.
are you like, what are you slurping? I guess was what I'm trying to ask.
So Julia constantly iced drinks. I don't get it. I'm constantly hot drinks, so I guess she's thinking the same thing about me. But it makes more sense for me to drink hot coffee this time of year, you know. So I'm just saying, I'm hot coffee all the way. But there is a time and place for iced coffee. Maybe I want an iced latte or a
Oh
cold
yeah,
brew, but definitely hot.
yes sir. So like, are you putting creamer on your coffee, or are you just drinking it black?
So I started off uh, like in high school um, with the Cinnabon creamer
Oh
because it
yeah,
slapped. But dude, as soon as college hit, I mean, I was black coffee only, and I'd say I'm still on that boat of just like, um, you know, the black coffee kick and drinking the coffee as it is, and kind of seeing what's up. So yeah,
yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I tried drinking black, but maybe it's one of those things I gotta grow accustomed to, man. But maybe I'll get there one day. Just baby steps. We'll see how we go from here.
yeah,
But
uh,
maybe I'll get
yeah.
there.
I'll
Sorry, go
say,
ahead.
bro, start off with light roasts. If you want to go drinking black coffee, the lighter the roast, the more caffeine, though. So I will say that. Be careful.
Oh, okay.
The darker the roast, the less caffeine. So the stronger it is, the less strong the caffeine actually is. But um, start off with the light roast, one that tastes like berries, no creamer, and see what you think.
I'd give that a try. I'd go lighter. I always thought like it would be backwards. I never would. I always had that backwards, I guess. But
Hey,
yeah,
yeah, I
give
do
it a try.
too. I do too.
But yeah, if you're, I was gonna ask you, if you're a coffee, what would you will be, or would you want to be?
Whoa, dang. I've never been asked this question. If I were a coffee, and by that you mean like a drink?
Yeah, like if you're like a coffee drink, anything like Americano, latte, this, that, like out of all the coffees that have ever existed that you, or even if that one that y'all make, like if there's any coffee, what would you want to be?
Bro, this is crazy. Whoa.
Yeah,
I would be, dang,
asking.
this is so hard, man.
Mhm.
I will lean towards a cappuccino, but it's only because I drink a cappuccino. So I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say a cappuccino. I'm not going to say anything iced, but I'll say Either no. Dang, this is so hard. Okay, I would be a short Americano or a long black is what they call it in Australia, but it's like
Really?
just like this much water, right? And then like the same amount of espresso. So
Oh wow.
it's like this much drink. It's like a cortado, but with water instead.
Oh wow.
Either that or like just a tiny cup of coffee. Nothing too big. You know, nothing like
Yeah.
not like a 44 ounce, but like an 8
Oh
ounce.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's me.
Why is that? Are you just like, are you more accustomed to the style of the roast, or just the process it's made, or is there anything, is there a reason behind that, or that you chose that one?
In terms of like yeah, that's such a good question too. Man, I'm
And all the
shook
hard.
over here. I'm shook over here. I think it's mainly because it's not more than it needs to be. I'm nothing more than it needs to be, right? I'm I'm what it is to the point, and uh, I'm not too strong, and I'm not too not strong. It's just like I am what I am, and I nothing too crazy if
Too
that makes
crazy.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely, man. But yeah, that makes a ton of difference, man. That makes a lot of information. Yeah. Last question. I can't thank you for your time, Nick. I mean, it's been a lot. But if what would be a good recommendation for coffee? If there's someone, like, if someone came up to you in your shop like, hey, um, like, I've never tried coffee before, or I've tried it but I've never got into it. What would be a good recommendation for them, you think?
Definitely a bigger latte. I would say like more drink, because if they come in for like a small latte, it's going to be, I think, just a little bit too strong for them. So I would always recommend something bigger, but something a little sweeter. Maybe caramel, you know,
Oh yeah,
just plain caramel, but vanilla. I'd say that that's a good starting place.
most definitely.
Vanilla. That's a good place to start. Whole milk. Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. That sounds pretty dope, man. I mean, I'm a big fan of all those things. So anything, I'm willing to try anything at this point. I mean, I'm like, the more the better, man. But Nick, I can't thank you for your time, man. Today was like a really fun podcast. Just be able to listen and gain a lot of information just from you and hearing your story, just everything from A to Z. I loved everything. So I can't thank you for your time for coming on.
Bro, of course, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, man. Can't thank you for your time, and to everybody listening, watching, wherever you may be. Thank you all again for listening. And Nick, can't thank you again, man. Like, can't thank you enough.
Thanks, man. Happy
Cool.
to
See
be
ya.
here.
Yeah, man. See ya later, man.
Whoa.